Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about a pension scheme. There are some important words, and it is an important editorial in the sense it goes with pension scheme. Besides the editorial, today you're going to work on some very useful questions, practice questions based on exam topics, and some I have brought for the first time. Very important from the exam point of view. Now let us go to the editorial vocabulary. There are about 10 to 15 words. Some of these words are new and a few are familiar. The very first one, give up. What is it? Is a phrasal verb. What is the meaning of give up? Give up means stop doing something. That is one meaning. You could also take it as cease making an effort, or another meaning of that, admit defeat. But generally, we don't use admit defeat. We try to convey when we use the phrasal verb give up. We want to convey stop doing something, especially quit. And in this context, I would like to give a quote: "Quitters never win, winners never quit." So give up means what? Quit. Patronage. I think we got yesterday this word. Some words, as I said, are very familiar. The support given to an organization by someone. You support someone, you support an organization, or someone supports. That support is known as patronage. Stir up hornet's nest. This is an important idiom. It has been given many a time in SBI. So, what does it mean? To create, provoke, or trigger a dangerous, troublesome, or complicated situation. Chief whip. This goes with polity. A political leader whose task is to ensure the whipping system that tries to ensure that members of the party attend and vote as a party leadership desires. In a way, it is controlling the party members. Arbitrary, we have got a few times. Arbitrary, based on random choice or personal whim, rather than any reason or system. You take a decision based on whims and fancies, not based on rationality, not based on reasoning. Then we say the decision is arbitrary. Exchequer, an important word, the government department that is responsible for the country's finances. Beneficiary singular, beneficiaries plural. A person who derives advantage from something, especially a trust, will, or life insurance policy. Who is a beneficiary? Generally, we ask the question. Dearness allowance, a typical expression, an amount of money that is added to a person's basic pay or pension because of rising prices, usually to the basic pay because of rising prices. Dearness allowance. Heed, an important word we have got a few times. What does it mean? Pay attention to, take notice of. Usually, this goes with someone gives advice, you don't listen. In that context, we use the word heed. Cavalry usually goes with war, the soldiers on a horse, on horses. But in this context, used to refer to a source of help or rescue in an emergency, especially as a last resort, a different meaning altogether. Retro means going back. Retrospective, looking back on or dealing with past events or situations. You talk about the past, we use the word retrospective. Cohort, an important word. A supporter or companion, in this context, supporter of a particular party or a companion of a particular politician. Flagrant, we have got for the first time an important word. Conspicuously or obviously offensive, an action that is considered wrong, immoral, or not acceptable. We use the word flagrant. Four, we have got this situated or placed in front. You place something in front, we say bring it to the fore, a standard expression. Nepotism, an important word from the exam point of view. In a few exams, under synonyms, antonyms, they've given the word nepotism. One of the problems a lot of countries face today, corruption, nepotism. So, what exactly does it mean, nepotism? The practice among those with power, those who are in power, or influence of favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs. Imagine there's a minister, there's an officer, he or she gives jobs to his relatives usually, friends also. Here the meaning says. Then we use the word nepotism. Disrupt we have got so many times. What does it mean? Interrupt, usually services. Proteges, a person who is guided and supported by an older and more experienced or influential person. An important word. Consensus, general agreement, without any debate, without any argument. Everyone accepts a particular thing. Then we say there was consensus. You should also recollect the word unanimous. Unanimous also means no opposition. A class for itself, a class in itself, a class for itself. There are two terms very difficult to explain on this platform within the stipulated time. So I will not touch those two expressions, but we'll go to the main idea. What is this about? Kerala must give up, Kerala government, Kerala state must give up using government pension as political patronage. It talks about something negative. The editorial is not about something positive, but something negative. That goes with pension scheme, a particular pension scheme. When we go through the editorial, we understand why it is not positive, why the editorial says it is not something good. Again, if you look at the helping verb must, you should recollect the two functions. One, it is used to express a personal obligation or obligation imposed by the speaker. The other one, it is used to convey the idea something is compulsory. Kerala must, the writer feels, Kerala must give up an important phrasal verb. While preparing for competitive exams, usually we say, never give up. And do remember one famous quote while preparing for competitive exams: quitters never win, winners never quit. If not this year, next year. You should be optimistic and you should never give up. Must give up. In this context, opposite. Kerala must give up using government pension as political patronage with a political dimension. So, patronage we got yesterday, the support given to an organization by someone. The Kerala governor, why? What is the stimulus to write this editorial? The Kerala governor has stirred up a hornet's nest. Hornet's nest. Stir up a hornet's nest. That's an idiomatic expression. What does it mean? To create, provoke, or trigger a dangerous, troublesome, or complicated situation. The Kerala governor has stirred up a hornet's nest by demanding the discontinuation of a uniquely Kerala welfare scheme that covers around 1,200 people who served on the personal staff of ministers, leaders of opposition, and government chief whips. So it talks about a group of 1,200. Who are these people? And what is this scheme? It talks about a welfare scheme that covers 1,200 people. Who are these people? They served on the personal staff of ministers, leaders of opposition, and government chief whips. They are the personal staff of all these. And this particular scheme, the Kerala governor has taken a stand. What is that stand? He demanded the discontinuation of a uniquely Kerala welfare scheme. Unique means what? Different, one of its kind. And this is very important from the exam point of view. So is this one, the idiom, a unique. You may wonder why this a unique, why not an? In English, when it comes to indefinite articles, we have two, a and an. A typical school concept, if a particular word begins with a vowel letter, we have to use an, but that is incomplete. Exam point of view, if a particular word begins with a vowel letter or a vowel sound, only then you have to use an. But if the word begins with a consonantal letter or a consonantal sound, we have to use a. Here it is u, ya sound. It's a consonantal sound. Based on that, we cannot say an unique. We have to say a unique. This is very important from the exam point of view. A uniquely Kerala welfare scheme. So this talks about pension scheme for about 1,200 people, those who served or who have been serving, staff of ministers, leaders of opposition, and government chief whips. There's one word here, chief whip. Whip, it has many meanings, but in this context, A political leader appointed by the party whose task is to ensure the whipping system that tries to ensure that members of the party attend and vote as the party leadership desires. The party takes a particular stand, all the party members have to follow that stand, and that stand is conveyed through the chief whip, and he or she makes sure they follow the party's stand. The number, another important phrase you have to become alert. The difference between a number, the number. What is the difference? The phrase the number takes a singular verb. We have a singular verb. The phrase a number takes a plural verb. Very important from the exam point of view. The number of people who are eligible for lifetime pensions from the exchequer is set to swell. Swell means increase to around 1,500, from 1,200 to 1,500, when the additional beneficiaries who were recruited during the previous government are added. This talks about the number. The number is set to swell to around 1,500. When does it swell to 1,500? When the additional beneficiaries, there are two words over here. One is exchequer, the government department that is responsible for the country's finances, and beneficiaries, plural noun, beneficiary, singular. A person who derives advantage from something, especially trust, will, property, insurance policy, whatever, who were recruited during the previous government are added. Some of them were recruited during the previous government, and they are added. Because of that, the number has swelled from 1,200 to 1,500. Those who are eligible for this particular unique scheme related to pension, the pension scheme. Governor Arif Muhammad Khan has called for. Call for is another important phrasal verb. Means what? Demand. An end to this practice. Practice is another important word. They have given so many times. TICE is a noun form. TISE is a verb form. That you should always remember. And whenever you come across words like advise, practice, you have to recollect. That helps in the long run. Governor Arif Muhammad Khan has called for an end to this practice, terming it unconstitutional and against constitutional morality. Morality, it comes from morals, values, ethics, what is good. This talks about, based on this, the editorial has been written, the stand taken by the governor. Governor Arif Muhammad Khan has called for an end to this practice, and he terming it unconstitutional and against constitutional morality. It is something that cannot be justified. The state, how much money is spent on this particular scheme, unique scheme? The state spends around 8 crore every year on these pensions. There's a different class altogether, according to estimates. The beneficiaries, and some people they get the pension. We use a term in this context, beneficiaries. The beneficiaries, mostly political activists, draw a minimum pension of 3,550 a month and dearness allowance. As I said, dearness, an amount of money that is added to a person's basic pay or pension because of rising prices. This talks about what is the amount spent on this scheme and how many beneficiaries, 1,500, and how much do they draw every month? They draw 3,550. In addition to that, besides dearness allowance. In 1959, it goes back what happened, how it started, all these. In 1959, the state allowed ministers to have 20 members on their personal staff. This is all about the beneficiaries over here, those who serve the ministers, the opposition party leaders, the chief whips, all these. In 1959, the state allowed ministers to have 20 members on their personal staff. Over the years, that number has risen to the current 30. From 20, it has gone to 30. Another important verb, rise, rose, risen, intransitive and irregular verb. Another verb you have to recollect, raise, raised, raised. That is a regular verb and a transitive verb. In so many exams, they've given questions based on these two. They come under confusing verbs. Rise, rose, risen, raise, raised, raised. Rise means to go up. This talks about the number of personal staff from 20. gone up to 30, current 30. In 1994, in a systematic way, the information has been presented. 1959, 1994, when the Congress led United Democratic Front was in power, pensions were sanctioned through an executive order with retrospective effect from 1982. That means almost 12 years were sanctioned, pensions were sanctioned through an executive order with retrospective. Another important word, what does it mean? Looking back on or dealing with past events or situations. I have already given the meaning. Retro means past, going back. In the beginning, the eligibility for this cohort, an important word. Cohort means a supporter or companion. Those who serve the ministers, party leaders, opposition party leaders, chief whips, all these. In the beginning, the eligibility for this cohort was 3 years in service as opposed to 10 years for regular government employees. Now, the editorial contrast compares the regular government employees and this particular group. This group, these people serve the ministers and opposition party leaders. In the beginning, the eligibility for this cohort was 3 years in service as opposed to 10 years for regular government employees. Government employees to get the pension, they have to wait for, they have to serve. The service is required. 10 years service is required. Whereas this particular group, only 3 years, that too in the beginning. As a pension scheme for its regular employees in general became tighter, the government made flagrant exceptions for this class. Another important word, flagrant, means what? An action considered wrong or immoral and obviously offensive. As a pension scheme for its regular employees, government employees in general, became tighter. On the one hand, it became tighter for the regular employees. On the other hand, the government made flagrant exceptions for this class. Flagrant, something not moral, not correct. What is that? They are now eligible for pensions after 2 years. Government employees 10 years. This particular cohort, the group, initially 3 years. Now they're eligible within 2 years, after 2 years. They are now eligible for pensions after 2 years. The CPIM led ruling Left Democratic Front had said it would not heed the governor's demand and that the pension scheme would continue. This talks about the stand taken by the ruling party. There's one important word, heed. Heed means what? Pay attention to or take notice of or listen to advice. The CPIM led ruling Left Democratic Front has said, here it is in present perfect. It would not heed the governor's demand, means it would not consider, and that the pension scheme would continue. The pension scheme for the personal staff has become a safety net for the fortunate among the cavalry of political parties. But it is a cruel insult to the swelling ranks, an important expression, of the state's unemployed and underemployed youth. This talks about the pension scheme for the personal staff has become a safety net for the fortunate among the cavalry of political parties. There's one word over here. For those who are with the political parties, it's a safety net. Cavalry. Cavalry actually goes with war. The soldiers, some soldiers fight on, they use horses and they fight, we use the word cavalry. But in this context, the word cavalry means used to refer to a source of help or rescue in an emergency, especially as a last resort. Fortunate among the cavalry of political parties, but it is a cruel insult to the swelling ranks, an important expression, the numbers, swelling ranks of the state's unemployed and underemployed youth. As the governor has pointed out, there is also a pattern of replacing one set of staff with another after 2 years. They have a set of staff for 2 years, and it seems there's a pattern. What is that pattern? Every 2 years, they change a set. That means every 2 years, a set of personal staff, they are eligible for the pension, the unique pension scheme. As the governor has pointed out, there is also a pattern. What is that pattern? Pattern of replacing one set of staff with another after 2 years in order to cover more people under the pension scheme. Every 2 years, they change the set. Obviously, more people come under the umbrella and they get benefited. They are eligible for the pension. Some recent controversies in Kerala also brought to the fore, means placed in front, brought to the limelight in this context. Some recent controversies in Kerala also brought to the fore other innovative modes of nepotism, such as arbitrary recruitment of consultants. This talks about another negative aspect, that is other innovative modes of nepotism. An important word. What is the meaning of the word nepotism? The practice of favoring one's relatives or friends, especially when it comes to giving the jobs. It talks about another dimension. What is that dimension? Innovative modes of nepotism, such as arbitrary recruitment of consultants. If they have to recruit consultants, obviously one has to use rationality, reasoning. But if they recruit on the basis of someone's whims and fancies, then we use the word arbitrary, cannot be justified. Towards the end of the previous government, 7 people were appointed to the CM's personal staff with retrospective effect, making them eligible for pensions. This again talks about what happened in the previous government. Towards the end of the previous government, 7 people were appointed to the CM's personal staff with retrospective effect, making them eligible for pensions. All parties in Kerala had agreed to this arrangement, a source of political patronage in the resource starved state. This talks about when they did it, the previous government did it, all the political parties had agreed to that particular arrangement, and it is a source of political patronage when it comes to this particular state, in the resource starved state. Usually, the word starved goes with food. When you don't have food for 1 or 2 days, what do you say? I'm starving. But here, resource starved, that's an important expression, means financially, no resources, resources starved. The governor has now disrupted the comfort zone. Disrupt, we have got so many times, means what? Interrupt, especially an event, activity, a process, by causing a disturbance or problem. The governor has now disrupted the comfort zone by not merely challenging it, but also launching a public campaign against it. This is something new. The governor launching a public campaign against this particular scheme. The fact that Kerala is in a financial crisis, resource starved, that goes with this particular statement. The fact that Kerala is in a financial crisis only makes this pension scheme more unacceptable to the general public. Already the state is starved resources point of view, and it is in financial crisis. Obviously, looking at this present scenario, this pension scheme will not be acceptable and not acceptable to the general public. All political parties must take note of the resentment. I think we got this word we have been getting yesterday and day before yesterday. Resentment means what? A bitter feeling, indignation because of the unfair treatment. You have been treated unfairly, then you have that resentment. All political parties must take note of the resentment that this preferential treatment to their proteges can create against the political class in general. Can create against the political class in general. So when they try to resort to preferential treatment, this is again an important expression, preferential treatment. You favor a particular group, you treat them differently, positive. Then we use the expression preferential treatment to their proteges. There's one important word, means what? A person who is guided and supported by an older and more experienced or influential person. In this context, it talks about those who serve the ministers, the opposition party leaders, the chief whips, all these. The parties, they means the parties. How does the editorial end? They must work together for a wealth creating consensus in the state rather than designing and defending such indefensible schemes. The political parties together, they should work on wealth creation, work together for a wealth creating consensus in the state rather than, I use this quite often, it talks about preference rather than designing and defending such indefensible schemes. Means what? You design something, you try to defend, but it cannot be defended because it cannot be justified. It ends on that particular note. So it's all about a unique pension scheme. Once or twice, if you read, you will be able to understand. It's always better if you write about the editorial in your own sentences. That helps in the long run. Let us have a look at the questions based on this editorial. What is this editorial about? What is set to swell to around 1,500 when the additional beneficiaries are added? Based on the numbers, you have to navigate 1,200 to 1,500. You will be able to write the answer. How much do the beneficiaries, mostly political activists, draw? Every month, how much do they draw? You can easily answer. It is based on statistical data. What has become a safety net for the fortunate among the cavalry of political parties? What did here always focus on the key words safety net, fortunate, cavalry of political parties? What did some recent controversies in Kerala bring to the fore? What did they bring to the fore, to the front, to the limelight? Again, easy to answer based on the key words. Now let us go to questions, practice questions based on exam topics. The first five questions, error location. Look at the first sentence and try to spot the error. Yes, Raviteja, it could be based on emotions, spontaneous, and not based on reasoning or rationality. Where is the error? Sentence number. Who is this Raghu? You have been asking me. I have to spend some time on that. It takes time, but here we are hard pressed for time. Anyhow, after March 1st, I'm going to come up with a lot of videos. So wait till that time. I will definitely dedicate one video. The different uses of wood. It has many uses. The farmer finds it difficult to find buyers to sell. Here, what is the subject? The farmer. And the sentence is in present tense. Obviously, the subject is third person singular. The sentence is in affirmative form, present tense. We should add S or ES to the verb. There's no problem here. The farmer finds what? Finds it difficult to find buyers to sell. Here, the subject is singular. Then you cannot use a plural pronoun. We have to use a singular pronoun. Based on that, there is not correct. It should be his. This question is related to, this is an important dimension, subject pronoun. Subject pronoun agreement. Usually we focus on subject verb agreement, but there are two dimensions subject pronoun agreement and object pronoun agreement. Under pressure, these are not easy. This is an easy one, but if they give a lengthy sentence, then it becomes a problem to spot an error related to either subject pronoun agreement or object pronoun agreement. You got to read very carefully. Very good. Please go to sentence number 2. The Supreme Court says Canadian judges has been too soft. Please read the sentence, second sentence, and try to spot the error. An easy one, not at all difficult. How come this long? Today, I think the lag time is more than 20 seconds. The Supreme Court says you should always become alert when you come across words like said, says, told, ordered, requested, asked. They go with indirect speech. And you have to recollect the rule. If the reporting verb is in present, present perfect, or future, the tenses don't change to a corresponding past tense. That's an important rule. But this question is not based on that. It is based on subject verb agreement. The Supreme Court says Canadian judges is plural. Then we cannot use a singular verb. Obviously, it has to be judges have been soft, have been too soft. A question like this, you don't have to go beyond the second part. That way you can save a few seconds. In the actual exam, every second matters. There's no point in going beyond the second part. You should be very confident. The Supreme Court says Canadian judges has been. You stop there. Judges has not correct. Judges have been, and go for the second option. Move on to the third question. No, you should not waste your time reading the complete sentence. That is sheer waste of time. The government is expected to issue a statement regarding the investigation to the press. The government is expected to issue a statement regarding the investigation to the press. So, what is the answer? Question number three. No one has responded. Very good, Ahmad. I appreciate. I always appreciate students who choose the fifth option. What is the fifth option here? No error. Nagamani, very good. To choose that option, you got to be very confident. Balu Naik, very confident. And you got to be Tapa also. You should be good at English and you got to be very confident. Under pressure, imagine choosing the fifth option, not an easy thing. It's a very difficult decision, but very good. The government subject is expected. We expect the government, active voice. The government is expected to issue, passive voice, present tense, a statement regarding what? The investigation. To whom? To the press. Perfect. Contextually, grammatically, no problem. Answer is the fifth option. That's really good, highly appreciable. The company Maruti Suzuki has been producing 10 million units since it was established in 1982. This is also a good question, a very good question. You got to read carefully. The company Maruti Suzuki has been producing 10 million units since it was established in 1982. No response. I know, I have seen. Thank you for bringing it to my notice. Has produced. Who is this? Ahmed. Very good again. And Kiruba. Whale. Very good. This is a bit difficult. This is not that easy. The reason being, all of you remember, whenever you come across words, two prepositions, they can be prepositions, they can be conjunctions. One is since, the other one is for. You have to think of two tenses. One is present perfect tense, the other one present perfect continuous tense. In this context, they have used present perfect continuous, but it is not correct. What is the reason? Imagine you don't see 10 million units, then it is perfect. The company has been producing since it was established in 1982, has been producing cars since it was established in 1982. But here the number has been mentioned 10 million units. That means from the past to the present. Context talks about so far, past to present. Then we cannot use present perfect continuous, we have to use present perfect. Based on that, the company Maruti Suzuki produced has produced 10 million units since it was established in 1982. Has produced, you have to use present perfect. Perfect. I appreciate those students. This is not an easy one. You cannot use present perfect continuous because of 10 million units. The number has been mentioned. Then you cannot use, you have to use present perfect. This is again a very good question. You have to read very carefully. Only then you can answer. Question number five. Under no circumstances you would be allowed to remain out of home after 10 o'clock, said Radhika to her son. No need to use past perfect. You have to use present perfect. All of you remember past perfect we use only when there are two clauses, two actions that happen in the past, one after the other. First one we use past perfect, second one we use past tense. But that sentence has only one idea, one clause. So past perfect is ruled out. If you answer this, you should be happy. This is not an easy one. This is a question of the day. Oh, who is this? Suresh. Very good. I appreciate that, Suresh. Here, already have learned whenever we begin a sentence with a negative expression, negative words like no sooner, hardly, scarcely, barely, all these, the clause should be in interrogative form. We talk about inversion. This is also a negative expression under no circumstances. Then we cannot say you would be allowed. We have to say, would you be allowed? Would you be allowed? Under no circumstances would you be allowed. It should be an interrogative, not easy. Rule of inversion, that's right, Sai Arvind. Whenever you begin a sentence with a negative expression, no sooner, hardly, scarcely, barely, under no circumstances, never, you have to remember the clause should be in interrogative form, or a lot of educators say rule of inversion, you can use that expression as well, no problem. And today's editorial, for the first time, I have brought, look at the parts A, B, C, D, E, F, G. New pattern. Nowadays, in the past, they would give five, then six, now seven. It takes some time. So look at the parts very carefully and try to get the correct order. Not that difficult. Not that difficult. Take the elimination approach and first you try to get the topic sentence, the sentence with the main idea. That's very good, Ahmed. Today you have done very well. I appreciate all the five correct. I'm not surprised. You have done well today. Originally, they a pronoun cannot be the first sentence. Now cannot be the first sentence. Some have also begun cannot be the first sentence. Hold the fourth one. Since then cannot be the first one. Conjunction cannot be the first one. Millions more cannot be the first one. I'm underlining the keywords. Please listen very carefully. If you make it a habit, elimination based on the keywords, regular classes, I give the tips. But here, definitely you can listen and catch. All these are ruled out. Only one sentence stands out. Which one is that? D. Have been around for 6 decades or so. Now you got the first one. Try to get the second one. One is D. Very good. Not that difficult if you focus on certain words. Not exactly. Not exactly. Not F. It is not F. Look at all the parts. No, no, no. You guys have the same wavelength. All of you, more or less, DF, DF, DF. No. F is not the second one. F is not the second one. B is also not the second one. No one has got it right. Surprising. I will not give at this stage. No, no. Sai Arvind. Only one so far to get it right. A is the second one. It starts with a statement 6 decades or so. Originally, we have to start with originally what they were and what they are now. Originally, they were simple mechanical devices which did as they were told, working on assembly lines, moving things around, moving things around. Look at every word, respect every word. And third one is not that difficult. Moving things around. No, it is not F. Exactly. Who is this? Akhil. It should be E. Moving and putting parallel expression. Moving things around and putting them together in, well, a robotic manner. Answer is E. DAE. One group. Then originally, what is the expression you have to look at? Presently or now or easy, not that difficult. What is the fourth one? DAE is over. B is not no. No, no, no. Fourth one is not B. Very good, Sai Arvind. Again, F is the fourth one. Originally, there was something. Since then, robots have become vastly more dexterous, skilled, mobile, and autonomous. F is the fourth one. DAEF. Narendra Kumar, yes. Now go to the fifth one. Since then, since then, what is logically thinking? What is the word? Look for the key words. Not a G. No, no. E is the next one. Very good. Who is this? Srinivas. There are now over 3 million industrial robots working in factories across the planet, according to the International Federation of Robotics, a worldwide industry association. Here, 3 million industrial working in factories. That is one thing. Millions more. 3 million, continuation, millions more. Millions more move goods around warehouses, clean homes, mow lawns, and help surgeons conduct operations. And what is the last one? Some have also begun delivering goods both on land and in the air. All these one group. So what is the correct order? DAE, FBGC. Those who have got highly appreciable, not easy. And today I have brought word swap. We have word swap. After that, phrase replacement. The academician did a commendable job in highlighting the dangers of the so-called lethal weapon systems. Here you have to, there are five words. One, two, three, four, five. You have to see whether they have been placed properly or not. Or if you have to swap, you have to decide which two words should be swapped. Exchange, word exchange. Very good. Who is this? Badshah. No interchange required. Wonderful. The academician, noun, did a commendable job. Typical combination. Praiseworthy, highly appreciable, commendable work, commendable job. In highlighting the dangers of the so called lethal weapon systems. All the words are properly placed. Answer: no interchange required. Skills are, this you got to read carefully. Go to question number two. 2C. Who is this? Balu Nayak. Very good. Yes. Here you have to. Skills are a vital asset. That means you have to interchange A, B. In today's globalized economy where unskilled jobs are under threat of automation, C and D. Answer is C. Very good. I appreciate that. Corruption employees facing criminal or government cases are under a scanner of the Modi administration. Vital asset. Perfect. Corruption employees. This is an easy one, should not be that difficult. 3B, AC. Corruption employees not correct. We have to start with government employees facing criminal or corruption cases are under a scanner of the Modi administration. Perfect. It is AC. Answer is B. An easy one. This is a little challenging, but should not be that difficult based on the options. 4B is not correct. No. Yes. 4 is again D. What is D? If the flight's authorities are obliged, so you have to change AD. If the flights are and B and E cancelled, if the flights are cancelled, the authorities are obliged to provide compensation or an alternative. Answer is what? D is the answer. If the flights are cancelled, the authorities are obliged to provide compensation or an alternative. That makes sense. The last one. The Revenue Department has asked customs officials to ensure strict implementation of import on prohibition of e-cigarettes. This is again not that difficult. You should be able to answer. The Revenue Department, no, it is not. Fifth one, not E. Answer is B. That's right. The Revenue Department, nothing wrong, has asked customs officials, Revenue Department, customs officials, no problem, to ensure strict implementation, no problem, strict implementation combination of what? Of prohibition on import of e-cigarettes. We have to interchange D and E. Answer is B. B is the answer. Now we have three questions, not five questions, based on phrase replacement. Read carefully and try to get the correct option. A truck had assumingly collided with a car. Four, very good. I appreciate that, Ravi Teja. All the five also very good. Please go to the next set of questions. Yes, a truck had assumingly collide. Had, you cannot use a verb in any other form. You have to use only in past participle form. So collide is not correct. Collide, collided, collided. Evidently collided seems right. Consequently met, no. Virtually received does not make any sense whatsoever. Tremendously mishap, here we need a verb, not a noun. What is the answer? Evidently collided, that is the answer. Please go to The politicians makes vague promise about tax cuts. The politicians. Here the subject is plural, then you cannot use makes, ruled out. Has promises about tax cuts, singular verb ruled out. Would recalled, grammatically not correct. Made vague promises, seems right. Should conflict promise? No. Answer is C. The politicians made vague promises about tax cuts. Not clear. Vague means what? Not clear. Students feel autonomous when they are able to willing engage time and energy to their studies. Go to the last one based on phrase replacement. Ah, that's right, Adi. Vague means what? Not clear, ambiguous, obscure. All these words you have to recollect. C. Very good. Students feel autonomous, independent when they are able to willingly devote time and energy to their studies. Perfect. Answer is the third one. Third. Readily devoted, not correct. Answer is the third one. Let us go to the last slide, editorial vocabulary. And because we are running out of time, uh, parts of speech you can write, that is your choice, but try to get the meanings, all the 10 correct. Give up. Give up means what? One student responds, then I will start writing. Nebulous, that's also very, oh, Madhav, you're there. Yes, very good. Give up, 3C. Why, why that smile, Prasad's? What does it mean? C is the answer. Arbitrary, based on random choice, not based on rationality or reasoning. Heed, take notice of, listen to, pay attention. Retrospective, dealing with past, retro, remember. And flagrant, obviously offensive, something that is not morally correct, not acceptable, cannot be justified. Cohort, an important word, means what? Supporter or companion. Supporter or companion. Nepotism, favoring relatives. Oh, I will do it, Raghu. Questions related to same meaning of particular phrase or sentence. Nepotism, what is the answer? A is the answer. Fore, placed in front, bring to the fore. Limelight, you can also say. Proteges means what? Person who is guided by someone. Answer is H. Consensus, an important word, general agreement. Let us not make personal statements. Where is this general agreement? E. Those who have got all the 10 correct, I appreciate. Be happy. Today is your day. That's all for today. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. Do remember to subscribe and share. Join the Telegram group. How do you join? After the session, go to the description of the video and click on the link, Murthy's English. And I'll provide the PDF after the session.